Now that we know how to graph systems of linear inequalities, we're going to work at creating our own and then graphing them to find possible solutions. So one, suppose you buy flour and cornmeal in bulk.
Students, teachers, this time we are done with our lockdown drill. Thank you for your participation and your effort to take this seriously. At this time, teachers and students, all school activities may resume as normal. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, so we buy flour and cornmeal in bulk to make flour tortillas and corn tortillas. Flour costs $3 per pound and cornmeal costs $1.50. You want to spend less than 21, and I need at least 6 pounds altogether. Okay, so I know I'm talking about flour and cornmeal, so those are going to be my variables. So I'm going to let X stand for the amount of flour and Y stand for the amount of cornmeal. Okay, so I need to write two different inequalities so I can graph them. My first one is going to be talking about the cost, how much I can spend. All right, so I'm going to label this as cost. And I know that the flour costs me $3 per pound. It tells me right here. So I know it's going to be $3 per pound of flour. Plus, it's going to cost me $1.50 per pound of cornmeal. Okay, well, I know I have no more than $21 to spend. Well, it can be equal to the 21. But if I don't have any more than $21, I want what I spend to be less than the amount of money I have. Okay, so let's work at solving this. We want to get y by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and take away 3x's from both sides. So that's going to leave me with $1.50y is less than or equal to 21 minus 3x. Next step is to divide both sides by 1.5. So my y drops down. No reason to flip the sign. 21 divided by 1.5 is 14. And negative 3 divided by 1.5 is negative 2, and my x will drop. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and graph this. My y-intercept is 14, so I'm going to go up 14 and put a dot. My slope is negative 2x, so that means I'm going to go down 2 over 1. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, and I know my symbol has this or equal to underneath, so I need to connect these with the solid line. Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, solid line. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fudging up, guys. It says spend less than $21, so I do not want the or equal sign. That's my fault. It says you want to spend less than. I'm sorry. So that should have been a less than sign, which means I want a dotted line. Okay, all cleared up. So spending less than, no solid line, so I use a dotted, and this is a less than symbol, so I'm going to shade lightly underneath. Okay, so my second inequality that I'm going to write about is going to have to deal with the amount of that I buy, so the total number of pounds. Well, I know I'm going to buy flour plus cornmeal, and it tells me I want at least 6. So at least, so it could be 6, but at least means 6 or more. So I want the amount that I buy to be equal to 6 or more than 6. I'm going to put greater than. So let's go ahead and get y by itself by taking away an x from both sides. Y drops down. There is no reason to flip your sign. And I have 6 minus x. So my y-intercept is 6, so I go up 6 and put a dot. My slope is a negative 1, right? Negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1, right 1. there's a or equal to underneath, so I know I want a solid line. So there's my solid line. And this is a greater than symbol, so I need to shade above. So I know my blue and my pink, I'm going to darken that in where they overlapped. I'll use the blue bin. So I know they overlap in this little section right here. So those are my solutions, so let's go ahead and darken that. Because that's going to represent all of my possible solutions. So this little darkened section there. I should have done this at the beginning, but X and Y, I know my X is flour, so this is talking about flour, and I know my Y is talking about cornmeal. Okay, so the next part wants me to write two possible solutions, right? So I can pick any two dots that are in this shaded region. Do not include anything on this dotted line, but you can include anything on this pink solid line in any of this dark shaded area. All right, so any two, it does not matter. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick this point right here. Or any 2 points. Actually, I'll have you do that, and then I can check y'all's if your solutions work or not. Okay, so you can pick any 2 points that you want, and that is a possible solution. Write that down. Please label, though, how much flour, how much cornmeal. You need to be specific. Don't just give me 2 numbers. So say, for example, 2 pounds of flour, 5 pounds of cornmeal. Okay, so be specific. So write your 2 possible solutions, and I'll check them in class. Okay, on to Sally is ordering perch and salmon. Perch is 4 pounds and salmon is $3 per pound. She wants to buy at least 10 pounds, but she cannot spend more than $45. Okay, so the 2 things that we're talking about is perch and salmon. So I'm going to let X be perch, and I'm going to let Y be salmon. All right, unlike last time, I'm going to go ahead and label my graph first. I want this side as perch, and this side will be salmon. Okay, so let's go ahead and write our inequalities. I know one inequality is going to be written about the cost. I know perch costs $4 per pound. Plus, I know salmon is $3 per pound. And I have $45 to spend. It says I cannot spend more than $45. Sorry. So I know I can spend 45. I just cannot spend more than 45. So I want what I spend to be less than or equal to 45. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this by taking away 4x from both sides. 3y is less than or equal to 45 minus 4x. Then I divide both sides by 3. So y is less than or equal. 45 divided by 3 is 15. Negative 4 divided by 3 is negative 4/3, and the x drops. So my y-intercept is 15. My slope is negative 4/3, so I'm going to go down 4/3 to the right 3. All right, there is the or equal to underneath, so I need to connect these with a solid line. All right, that's where we're at. And that is a less than symbol, so I'm going to lightly shade underneath. Okay, my next inequality is going to be over the total amount of pounds that I'm going to buy. I know I'm buying perch, which is X, plus salmon, which is Y. And it tells me that I need at least 10. So I know it can be equal to 10. But at least means what I buy needs to be greater than or equal to 10. So I need more than or equal to 10. So get y by itself by taking away x from both sides. So I have y is greater than or equal to 10 minus x. All right, my y-intercept is 10. My slope is a negative 1. That's going to be down 1, right 1. Or equal to underneath, so I'm going to connect those dots with a solid line. All right, this is a greater than symbol, so I'm going to lightly shade above. Well, mine is pink, whatever color yours is. So I know the solutions, the possible solutions is where those two overlap, which is this little middle section right here. So I'm going to go back and make that darker. All right, so any solution in that shaded area on top of this line or on top of this line, because they're both solid, would be counted as solutions. So I want you to write two possible solutions. So just like last time, I want you to be specific. Tell me how many pounds of perch and how many pounds of salmon. So give me two different examples. Like I can get 1 pound of perch with however many pounds of salmon, right? Okay, Mary knits scarves and sweaters. Scarves take 2 hours and sweaters take 10. She would like to spend no more than 40 hours per week knitting and make at least 5 items per week. So we're talking about scarves and sweaters, so I'm going to let scarves be X, sweaters Y. I know the first inequality I'm going to write is about how much time that she wants to spend. It tells me that scarves take 2 hours, so it's going to be 2 for every scarf, plus sweaters take 10, so 10 for every sweater, so that's 10y. And she wants to spend no more than 40. So no more than 40, so it could be equal to 40. But I want the time that she spends to be less than or equal to 40. So let's go ahead and get y by itself. So I have 10y is less than or equal to 40 minus 2x. Divide both sides by 10. So I have y is less than or equal to 40 divided by 10 is 4. Negative 2 divided by 10 is a negative 1/5 and the x drops. Let's label my graph x and y, so scarves and then sweaters. My y-intercept is 4. My slope is a negative 1/5, which means I'm going to go down 1, right 5. There is an or equal underneath, so I'm going to connect these with a solid line. And this is a less than, so I know I need to lightly shade beneath. So my next inequality is going to be about how many total items I make. I know I'm making scarves, which is X, plus I'm making sweaters, which is Y. And the paragraph told me that I want to make at least 5. At least, so I know it could be 5. At least means the number I make, I want that to be more than or equal to 5. So how much I make, I want it to be greater than 5 or equal to 5. So get Y by itself. So I have Y is greater than or equal to 5 minus X. So my y-intercept is at a positive 5. My slope is a negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1 over 1. The or equal tells me to use a solid line. And the symbol was a greater than, which means I'm going to shade above my pink line. Alright, so I can see that they overlap in this section right here, so I'm going to go back and darken this in so it's really clear what my solutions are. Good. Okay, so I want you to write 2 possible solutions. So and so many scarves go with how many sweaters, right? 2 possible solutions. Be specific. How many scarves go with how many sweaters? Okay, we want to see how many baseball and soccer games we can attend during the spring. Travel time for baseball is 2 hours and soccer games is 1 hour. I'd like to spend no more than 15 hours traveling. In total, we'd like to attend at least 8 games. So we're talking about baseball and soccer, so we'll let X be baseball and Y be the number of soccer games. So I'm going to go ahead and label my table. Baseball down here, soccer on the y-axis. So my first one is going to be talking about the number of hours I'm spending, right? And I know to get to a baseball game, it takes me 2 hours, so 2 for every baseball. Plus, it's going to take me 1 hour for every soccer game, so that's 1y. And I want to spend no more than 15. So no more than 15, which means 15 would be okay. But no more means the number of hours I spend, I want it to be less than or equal to that 15. So we get y by itself by taking away 2 x's from both sides. My 1y falls down, so I have y is less than or equal to 15 minus 2x. My y-intercept is at 15. My slope is negative 2, which means I'm going to go down 2, right 1. I have the or equal underneath my inequality, so I want to use a solid line to connect these. That is a less than symbol, so I'm going to lightly shade underneath my blue line. All right, my next inequality is going to be talking about the total number of games I make it to. We're going to both baseball and soccer games. And the total number of games I want to go to is at least 8. So if I go to 8 or equal to 8, that's great. But at least means the number of games I want to go to will be more than or equal to 8. So I take away an x from both sides. And I'm left with y is greater than or equal to 8 minus x. So my y-intercept is 8. My slope is a negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1, right 1. The or equal is underneath my inequality, which means I want to use a solid line. A greater than symbol means I need a shade above. So where the two overlap are my possible solutions, which is this little middle section right here. So I'm going to go back and darken it so it's very clear. All right, so then I want you to try to answer B and C on your own, and then we'll talk about those in class. Alrighty.